Welcome back to Down University. I'm back with you guys with another MLB prospects video. I have two props for you guys for the early slate of games. I have Gunnar Henderson over 8-hitter fantasy score and Lewis Robert under 6.5-hitter fantasy score. So let's get into it. The first thing I always like to look at when I go with hitter props is the team total, because that tells me a lot about both players. You don't want to take a hitter prop over if their team is projected to go under their total runs, or they have a really low total runs number. So in this case for Lewis Robert, his team is only projected to get 3 runs, but it's slightly favored at -135. So that means that in game it may switch to under real quick if they don't do anything early on in the game. And then the other team total is the Orioles. And the Orioles are projected to get anywhere between 4 to 5 runs in this game. So that's a healthy run total. And all we really need is Gunnar Henderson to be productive. He has stolen base potential as well. That's another thing to note with a player with a high hitter fantasy score. But so in his matchup, right, against Roddery Munoz throws 3 pitches to lefties. He throws a 4-seamer, cutter, and sinker, and a slider. Barely throws a slider. So that's his pretty only breaking pitch. But if you watch baseball and you know about baseball, the biggest thing is that he throws pretty much predominantly fastballs, because the cutter and sinker is a version or a form of a fastball. The only thing about the sinker is the sinker has more downward movement, so it induces a lot of ground ball contact, as opposed to a cutter. A cutter kind of just is one of those pitches that's like a sneaky pitch that kind of sneaks back inside and hits the corner, whether it's the top of the zone or the bottom of the zone. It kind of is like a sneaky pitch to kind of fool the batter to thinking that it's not a strike, and it comes back into the strike zone at the last possible second. So in this scenario, right, Munoz throws predominantly fastballs, and then he throws a slider as his only breaking pitch that he has in his arsenal. But against lefties, he gives up a 302 batting average to lefties, as opposed to a 174 batting average to righties. And then so happened Gunnar Henderson is one of the best left-handed hitters in baseball. So we're going to go with Gunnar Henderson. And then another thing before I go on to Gunnar and his splits is that he fits the criteria of pitchers that I target. If you guys been watching previous videos, you know that I target pitchers, especially for overs, with low K percentage, low walk percentage, and then a low hard hit percentage as well, and also low ground ball percentage, because it reduces the chances of that hitter hitting into a double play. The reason why I do low K percentage and low walk percentage is because if a pitcher doesn't have strikeout potential, it basically leads the batter to have a more productive at bat, whereas though they put the ball in play, and when you put the ball in play, anything can happen. So that leads to more opportunities to, at least, if he puts the ball in play 4 out of his 5 at bats, I'll be sufficient. I'll be happy with that, as opposed to him wasting 2 or 3 at bats just striking out, because the pitcher is a, strikeout predominant pitcher. So we like to target pitchers that have low K rates and low hard contact percentage, especially going up against Gunnar Henderson, who is one of the best hard contact hitters in baseball. As you can see, he's in the 98th percentile in hard hit percentage. He's in the 89th percentile in chase percentage, so he doesn't chase a bunch of pitches outside of the zone. Has a really solid walk percentage at an 81st percentile as far as walk percentage. Great barrel percentage, great expected batting average, great expected WOBA. So I really like Gunnar Henderson this matchup. But the thing that puts me on him even more is that he has a 302 batting average home and away to righties, so he hits righties really well. And then also with the picks mix that Munoz throws against the fastball, he bats 244, but he has an expected batting average that is slightly higher at 255. But the thing that sticks out to me the most is that he has a hard hit percentage of 56% against the fastball. He has a 60% hard hit percentage against the sinker, and then against the slider he has a 56% hard hit percentage, and he also bats 327 against the slider. So if he does happen to fall behind in counts, and Munoz is forced to throw a slider as a put away pitch to try to put him away, he bats over 300 at 327, but also his expected batting average is higher than his batting average against slider at 342. So I really like that, and his expected slugging is ridiculous at 738 against slider. So if he hangs the slider over the middle of the plate, I expect Gunnar Henderson to crush the ball. And then against the cutter, He bats 350 against the cutter. He has a hard hit percentage of 60% against the cutter as well. So I really like him with all of the potential pitches that he could face against Munoz to be able to create good, solid, hard contact against that. Now moving forward to Luis Robert. I was on Luis Robert under 6.5 yesterday, and he managed to go 1 for 4, and the only hit that he managed to get was some little lucky, looked like it was a foul ball, but it just barely stayed fair to hit a home run. So I'm back on his under again today. He's in the same exact matchup spot as he's going up against a righty away from home. And he's going up against Max Scherzer. Now, one thing about Max Scherzer when I was looking at his splits is that he has a higher batting average to righties overall than he does against lefties, as he gives up a 258 batting average to righties, as opposed to a 235 batting average to lefties. And then, but also when he's at home against righties, he has a significantly lower batting average against righties, as he gives up a 190 batting average to righties, and only a 286 slugging percentage as well, and then an on-base percentage of 227, which is ridiculous to righties. So I think that Luis Robert is going to struggle. And then another key factor too is that Max Scherzer doesn't give up hard contact, and that's something that Luis Robert does well. Now that was the thing that went against me yesterday, is I took a chance on Luis Robert to go under, and he going up against a pitcher at Nathan Eovaldi that gives up a lot of hard contact. So that was a bad, spot. But he managed to, do what I thought he was going to do. He just got that lucky home run. One thing about baseball too, for you guys that don't know, if you're on under or over and the guy goes under or he goes over, if you take an under, go back to him the next day. Don't like, oh man, I'm fading him, he's dead to me, or he's banned because he went under or he went over. You always go double back, because they will, majority of the time, averages will even out, and he will likely, go to where you thought he was going to go the first time. So when I dug into, his recent form against righties on the road, and I did just a sample size of like the last 14 days, he is really, really terrible against righties on the road. And I'll show you guys that in just a second once I pull up where I can find his team. I sorted it by team. Okay, so right here, right? So Luis Robert, he has a 52% K percentage against righties, and he has a 4% walk percentage, so he doesn't walk against righties. He strikes out almost over half of the time. He has a batting average of 167. He has an on-base percentage of just 200, and then he has a ISO power number of 208. Now, granted, this number has slightly increased due to yesterday's, his home run, so it moved it up. Yesterday it was at like his ISO power was like 190, and it bumped up to 208 because of a home run. His balls batted in play is a 300 batting average. His WOBA is 246, and then his WRC plus is 56. So he struggles mightily against righties. And don't let yesterday fool you on thinking that he's some great hitter against righties over the course of time. But another thing is that Max Scherzer throws a similar pitch profile to Nathan Eovaldi, as he throws to righties, right? He throws a four-seamer 45% of the time, a slider 34% of the time, and a curveball 8% of the time. So against these three pitches, let's see how Luis Robert stacks up against the four-seam slider and curveball. So give me my computer just a second to load up. So against these three pitches, so against the slider, right? Against the slider, he bats 205. Against the four-seam, he bats 311, which is okay, and then he has a hard hit percentage of 56%. But against the curveball is where he struggles mightily. He has a 273 batting average to the curveball. He has a 44% whiff percentage. He has a 38% strikeout percentage. Against the slider, he has a 46% whiff percentage and a 42% K percentage. And he has an expected batting average of 164 against the slider. So against the two breaking pitches, if he was to just throw him breaking pitches, he will more than likely strike out and swing and miss at a bunch of those pitches. So I really expect him to go under. And then it also bodes well that his team has a low team total, so that even increases his chances of going under, because he has to get a double and score in order for him to go over this line. So if he is unproductive in 3 out of his 4 at bats or 3 out of his 5 at bats, he should be able to go under. Another thing to note too is Texas have a really good catcher who's good at throwing people out on the base paths. So I really like his stolen base potential to go down if he does get on base. I don't think he will steal a bag. So those are the reasons why I like his under. So again, Gunnar Henderson over 8 hitter fantasy score. Luis Robert under 6.5 hitter fantasy score. I appreciate you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.